Greetings, NSNA members and future resolution authors. My name is Kristle Akau, and I am your 2021 Resolutions Committee Chair. On behalf of the 2021 Resolutions Committee, welcome to the Resolutions Bootcamp. During our time together, we will explore the why, what, and who of an NSNA resolution. Our goal is to provide you with all of the details needed to author a successful resolution. Resolutions give us a chance to make a difference in the world of nursing. This year, more than ever, it is of great importance that you let us hear your voice. We welcome questions, so please enter them into the chat box, and we will ask you to unmute yourself to share when called on. Let's get started. And before I forget, please stay to the end of the questions at the end to be entered into a drawing for 3 prizes. So what is a resolution? A resolution is your chance to get more involved on a national level. A resolution is an evidence-based written statement that, when adopted by the House of Delegates, is the basis for policies and actions of the National Student Nurse Association. An adopted resolution becomes part of the NSNA policy, agenda, and sets the direction for educational and action items for the next year's Board of Directors. Who can author a resolution? Only NSNA members, student members from constituent state associations, constituent school chapters, NSNA Board of Directors, and NSNA committees. Can only be primary author per 1 resolution, and can only be the primary author for 1 resolution. All authors must be current students and NSNA members at the time of the NSNA convention in April 2021. There are 3 types of resolutions. The first being a resolution of substance. This resolution gives direction for future action and defines NSNA position on evidence-based policy. Second is a resolution of courtesy. This provides an avenue to give recognition of contributions made to the NSNA by groups or individuals. And lastly is an emergency resolution. This is a call to action based on urgent happenings, such as gun laws. Deadline for submission of emergency resolutions to the Resolutions Committee is 5 p.m. on the opening day of the annual meeting on April 7, 2021, unless the emergency topic arises during the convention, at which time a resolution can be presented before the end of the 2nd resolution hearing. Choosing a topic. Ask yourself, what are you passionate about? Is it relevant to nursing or nursing profession? Is it feasible? And does it adhere to the NSNA mission and bylaws? Imagine placing the words, "the NSNA will," in front of your title. Be sure to review the most recent 5 years of the NSNA resolutions to ensure your topic is unique. You can do so by visiting our NSNA webpage to view resolutions organized by year, making sure not to duplicate a topic within the last 5 years, with that being 2016 to present. A resolution of reaffirmation may be reintroduced if it has been more than 5 years since the policy was established, if and only if there's been a significant change in the status of the issue. It is of importance to note that imprint is not a clinical journal, so we advise to avoid suggesting publication of resolutions dealing with clinical topics. The resolution components. Resolutions consist of a title, abstract, whereas statements, resolved clauses, references, estimated costs, and contacts. Because formatting must be uniform among all resolutions, authors must use the pre-formatted resolutions template located on our resolutions webpage. This is an example of a template. Whereas statements. Whereas statements are recent evidence of the problem within the last 5 years. Direct quotes should be avoided, and paraphrasing and summarizing the point is preferred to multiple statements on the same point. It should not be debatable in the House of Delegates, because each whereas statement reflects the need for the resolution. Each whereas statement must cite a supporting reference. So 1 citation per whereas statement in APA format of the latest APA version. Limit of 300 words total after the citations are removed. Resolved clauses. The first resolved clause contains the statement of belief, philosophy, or commitment you want the NSNA to take on an issue. Remaining resolved clauses list desired implementation of the resolution, the action to be taken, and the organizations to receive a copy of the resolution. The abstract is 3 to 4 well-written sentences summarizing the resolution, its purpose, and intended outcome. Resolution abstracts are posted on the NSNA website prior to the convention. Documentation. Copies of all supporting documentation with citations noted in the documentation by underline or highlight or page and paragraph number must accompany resolution submitted. If supporting document is longer than 5 pages, a copy of the title page showing the document source, date, and other identifying data, along with the pages related to the citation, is acceptable. Estimated cost list. This is an itemized cost of implementing the resolution. For example, if a resolution resolve statement consists of a brochure to be sent out to major hospitals, how much will that cost? For the printing of the brochure, the shipping, and whatnot. Contacts. Contact information for all sent to organizations, including organization name, contact name, email address and mailing address, and phone number must be included for individuals cited in the resolved clauses. This document needs to be created in an Excel spreadsheet. Post-submission. This is when the work of the Resolutions Committee comes into play. John Palmer, Assistant Chair, and the remaining members, Olivia Christopher, Cameron Huston, Joelle Motley, and Marshall Muehlbauer, and myself will get together and review the resolutions for complete documentation, alignment with NSNA bylaws, feasibility and legal implications, and relevance to prior resolutions previously adopted by the NSNA, and be national in scope. Combination resolutions. This is your chance to network and collaborate with individuals from across the country. If more than one resolution on the same or similar topic is submitted by the deadline, the primary authors will be notified that their similar resolution will be combined. If the decision is made by the Resolutions Committee to combine resolutions, authors can either do one of 2 things: agree to combine or withdraw their resolution. Combination resolutions are a great opportunity to collaborate. If this occurs, just know that your topic is highly relevant across the nation at this time. I'm going to stop here to see if there are any questions in the chat box, Jasmine.
The only question so far is whether or not we are using APA 6 or APA 7 as the format for writing the resolutions.
The format will be APA 7.
Okay.
If I can get confirmation from Dr. Schmidt, I know she had mentioned allowing the most recent copy that the students had her fear was them having to have to go out and purchase another edition. Would you like to?
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to ask students to buy another edition. Most of the APA corrections are very minor, and it's just for the citation. So you can check with your faculty and maybe see if they have a newer version and see if there's a difference. Usually there's not that major difference in how you would put a citation into a resolution. And then those are removed anyway before it's published.
Thank you, Dr. Schmidt.
Okay, we do have some more questions coming in. The question is, if we are set to graduate this December, are we not allowed to be the primary author? We can only be the secondary author? And this is from Kathleen Wesson.
So to confirm, all authors, primary and remaining, need to be current students in April 2021 at the annual convention.
Okay.
I hope this answers your question.
And the other question is from Ian Avis. If we authored a resolution last year, will this keep us from submitting one under our name this year?
No, I believe you're able to author your own resolution again this year, as long as it is a separate topic and a topic that is not repeated within the last 5 years and follows the rest of the guidelines. You should be able to author another resolution.
Another question from Josie Etienne. She would like you to go over the documentation portion again regarding the highlighting. So if you can go back to that slide and go over that again, please.
I'm happy to. And you know what's really helpful? We have on our NSNA webpage, we have our guidelines for the 2021 resolutions. You can use it as your guide as you go about it. It's really detailed here in this aspect of the documentation. Like I had stated, some supporting documents may be longer than 5 pages. If they are longer than 5 pages, you can have a copy of the title page of that research that you have, showing the document source, date, and other identifying data, along with the pages related to the citation. The highlighting or underlining and mentioning of the page or paragraph number is just for our ease as the resolution committee to be able to establish what your whereas statement is speaking to, so that we're able to make sure that it's clear and concise what you are presenting on. I'll now go to the guidelines and the resolutions regarding the documentation. And it's on page 7. Does that answer your question? You can unmute yourself too if you want to speak on it further to clarify.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. And I saved the guidelines as well on the website. That way I can review it later on my own personal time. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay, next, Kristle, we have a question from Emily Blumenstein. She would like to clarify whether or not we cannot include a whereas statement asking for publication in the organization's journal.
I believe that would be in a resolved clause. That would be stating the action that you would want to be taken. It would be okay to be mentioned there. Dr. Schmidt, would you like to clarify?
Sure. The concern is that because imprint is not a clinical journal, you don't want to talk about, for instance, a couple of years ago, we had one where they said hexachlorophene was used as a cleansing for people before surgery. And that was sent out to the American operating room nurses, and they said that was no longer being done. So you have to be very careful in what you're recommending. Like, you don't want to say which medications are appropriate for which type of concern. So you can still publish an imprint, but not make it a clinical topic that you would find like in a medical journal or nursing journal.
Okay, and we do have one more question. Can resolutions from 2020 that were not presented because convention was canceled be resubmitted?
Yes, thank you for that question. So they can be resubmitted as long as the topic is still relevant and the authors are going to be current students in April 2021. So if for some reason there are members on there that aren't students in 2021, they will be graduating or have graduated, they're able to let the other remaining authors submit that resolution with their names off of it, unfortunately.
Okay, I don't see any more questions in the chat. So.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So we'll continue on here. The 2021 NSNA Annual Convention. So authors check in at Resolutions Committee office upon arrival. The NSNA Board of Directors will be reviewing the proposed resolutions for legality and feasibility. Resolutions are presented at the resolutions hearings in order of finalization. So this is a good incentive to get with your resolutions committee as soon as possible once we start contact, so that as soon as we get it finalized, you can be entered into the order of presentation. Resolutions roundtables, they're held 30 minutes before and after resolutions hearings. Make sure you bring copies of your references for that time. House of Delegates debates and votes on proposed resolutions at this time. The title of proposed resolution and whereas clauses are not debatable and can't be amended in the House of Delegates. After each resolution is heard in the resolution hearings, it's approved by the House of Delegates agenda. And during the House of Delegates, motions are made to adopt each resolution. In order for a resolution to be adopted, it must be approved by a 51% majority of the House of Delegates. Authors begin the formal debate by speaking in pro of their resolution. Some tips for success: discuss your topic with everyone, with instructors, with clinicians, colleagues, and friends, and test out your resolution on a state or local level. Identify and prepare for arguments against your resolution, and embrace suggestions and edits. Bring supporting documentation, and be positive, concise, and knowledgeable. Really important is the submission deadline. It is January 15th, 2021 at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have any questions, we can be reached at the resolutions at nsnainc.org. We're really happy to help. We're here for you. Mark your calendars for the 69th Annual Convention, April 7th through 11th, 2021 in Houston, Texas. I also want to state President Brandy Borden is here. I had wanted to mention her earlier, and I just want to say hello. We also have two other members of the Resolutions Committee here, Joelle Motley and Olivia Christopher. Are there any other questions that we have?
Yes, we have one more question. Can you submit more than one resolution under the same chapter?
No, you're not able to, I'm sorry. So just one resolution per state constituent chapter. But it's awesome to have choices on which topic you want to choose.
We do have a general question, and any of the NSNA staff would be able to answer this one as well. Is the convention going to be dependent on the state of the COVID-19 pandemic? Dr. Mancino, would you like to address that?
Well, that is a very good question, and it doesn't really have an answer other than yes, we will of course have to abide by the situation as it presents itself, which of course just joins the uncertainties in our lives. What we will do is, what we are doing, I should say, is at this point we are planning to have a live convention with a virtual aspect, or you could say it's a blended convention. We are looking at how to even conduct a House of Delegates that would be available both virtually and in person. We're hearing from schools, and I would love to hear your feedback on this. We're hearing from many schools now that they're already being told that they cannot travel in the spring 2021 semester. So that, of course, presents quite a bit of a dilemma for us if we're holding this big convention and the students are prohibited from attending. Lots of schools have already said they are not going to have spring breaks, that they'll probably end earlier if they start on time, I guess. So I guess to answer your question, we will have a House of Delegates, whether it is live or online or both. And we will have to figure out how to manage that, and we're in the process of thinking about how to do that. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
And I would love you to put in the chat whether you've heard anything about 2021, whether you're able to travel, if you've had any restrictions, because the person who helps us to manage our convention, I'm in touch with her constantly. She's in touch with the convention center and the hotels. And I know right now in Texas, they're allowed to have 75% capacity. In other words, 75% of a room capacity, which I think is kind of high. Here in New York, it's not that high. But of course that can change, especially now that they're talking about having another surge. So we just have to play it by ear and follow the science and do what's best and do what's safe for everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Mancino. Kristle, we do have another question. Do the resolutions have to be vetted through the state chapter first before presenting at NSNA?
No, they do not have to.
Okay.
You can just turn them in by January 15th, and January 15th, and we'll be in contact. I see another one here from Adam Mohammed. I can speak to that. So you'll just have to check with, the question is, regarding students graduating in December, not allowed to author resolutions, does this only apply for NSNA, or can those students be authors for resolutions at the state level? So you'll have to check with your state chapter and see what their instructions are. It'll be different on each state level. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Yes, that answers his question. Are there any more questions for Kristle? And if you would like, you can unmute yourself and address it live and not in the chat. We do have a question. Can the same resolution be submitted at the state and at NSNA? That comes from Brenda Smith.
I believe so, because it's on 2 different levels. So the NSNA, we just govern NSNA. Maybe check with your state level to see if they'll accept it being submitted on a national level as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Again, you can definitely unmute yourself if you'd like.
I also just want to say thank you everybody for being here tonight. I know that this is a really important year for resolutions. There's a lot going on in the world, and I think that we are definitely in an amazing profession that's in the spotlight right now. And I think as student nurses, this is our perfect time to kind of lead the way. So I'm really grateful for everyone being here.
Okay.
I have a general question, just trying to catch up with with this experience. I just finished my policy and financing course, and we did have a resolute bill to send to our state that I proposed, but it was COVID related to legalization of lettering or compliance with mask use on sites. If I can compile it or outline it to the requirements of NSNA, could I submit that, or is that too specific? Because every state has different requirements.
I think that if you take out the state use and you find research on how masks are useful or preventative or what have you, you may have a resolution topic. If you want to develop that and then email me once you do, then we can look at it a little deeper.
Okay. I went further to the legality side of it because there's so many different masks. So I wanted what I sent to Texas Senate was the way the lettering is projected and used at entrances to businesses to have the accountability or legalities, because our state, Greg Abbott, not Abbott, whoever, I can't remember right now, my brain's dead. We don't have a uniform sign that can be enforced per se for the fines that he wants to induce if you are non-compliant with those mask signs or mask use. So is that too specific to legalities?
I think it's too specific. It needs to be national in scope. So maybe if you pivoted your focus in another direction, there's a possibility, but with that, it not being national in scope, it would not be acceptable.
One way you could approach that is to encourage its members to explore the policies in their states and negotiate with their legislators and make it more, turf it down to state members to negotiate with their legislators and their governors, but driven by NSNA's encouragement.
Okay, because
So
we
way
had
gets it out of the one state, but it still encourages students to look in their own state policy.
Thank you. My resolute actually went to the state, so we're going to see when they'll vote on it or add it to a bill, I hope.
And if it doesn't, your school can consider submitting it.
Another good topic around the pandemic, around the virus, could be around vaccines and vaccination.
Thank you, Dr. Menchino, definitely.
Hopefully we'll have one by then.
Yes. Definitely before the convention.